If you work in sales and marketing and you work with spreadsheets, there's no doubt that you have been extremely frustrated and wasted a lot of time cleaning up spreadsheets with contact data. And I'm going to show you today how you can use ChatGPT with its new code interpreter plugin to clean up spreadsheets in just minutes. And I've got an example right here of a contact spreadsheet with about 50 records that's highly flawed. And from start to finish for me to clean this up was under 13 minutes just doing this from scratch. And I'm going to walk you through a few of the issues with this spreadsheet. So same spreadsheet, right away we have the full name, its first and last combined into one column. Next, we have multiple email addresses in the email column. This is something I see a lot with contact lists where they have multiple contacts and emails not always separated out. Phone number, different formats for each row. So we want to have the formats consistent throughout. If you ever try to clean this up on your own and use formulas, you know how complicated this can be. This one is extremely frustrating with the business name. I've seen this where if you subscribe to a list service that's giving you intelligence on contact details, you will see sometimes an export where they'll have the names of the states, some extra characters, and then the business name. I don't know why it happens, but it requires a lot of time and effort to clean it up. Location, city, and state all in one column, and then country formatted with a bunch of different versions. So what I have done is use ChatGPT to clean all this up. And what first thing I did is I uploaded it into ChatGPT, and that was the original CSV file, this one you see right here. And you do not need to be a prompt engineer to get results. Just tell it to analyze it and provide some recommendations. And right away, it discovered all of the issues that I talked about. The multiple email addresses, phone number formatting, and then it asked, would I like it to proceed with the recommendations and clean up the data? I, of course, said yes. So it goes through that, and you can see what it does. And the magic of this is that it's actually creating little scripts behind the scene to do all the work for you. You don't need to know how to make specialized formulas. You don't need to know syntax for formulas. You tell it in the language that you want to use what to do and what you want to get out of it. And ChatGPT figures it out. Now, it's going to ask you if you want to create a new CSV file. I, of course, said yes. The thing is, it always accurate? Is it perfect? And the answer is no. So when I got the first version of this, I'll show you what it looked like. It did most of the things that I wanted, but it didn't do everything. So here's the newer version, and it did not fix the phone numbers. They're still in different formats. You'll see that there's some periods in there, some dashes. It hasn't fixed that yet, but it did do some of the difficult things. It separated the business name from where it was combined with business and state. And it also separated out each email. So what it did is it created new columns, one for business name. It created a new column for primary email and secondary email, and it removed the extra characters. So now this column is redundant with this one. So that will be cleaned up later on. So then I know I've got some more work to do. So I ask it, make it so that each phone number is in the same format. And so it does that. And then it did ask if I wanted another version of the CSV file. And so here's the updated version. All the phone numbers are consistent. So we're quickly covering ground with what we want to do next. The next thing I want to do is standardize the format for the country. So USA is consistent on all entries. So it does that. And at this point, I'm feeling more confident, so I don't have to create a new CSV file each time. Let's take a look at where we are. Phone numbers are formatted. I want a state abbreviation. So I'm jumping ahead a little bit here, but this is the result of the next instruction. So beforehand, we did not have a state abbreviation. I just had city and state. And so what I asked it to do is for each state, create a state abbreviation. and that's right here. So it's pretty easy to get this done. And then it does that work and it asks you if you want to continue and create a new spreadsheet. And then finally, I'm ending up where I want to get the name column separated into first and last names. If you were to do this with a formula, you would have to figure out a way to identify the space between the first and second words in that, create a new column and tell it exactly what you want to do. There's a lot of testing and iteration. And all I have to do here is tell ChatGPT, I want a new column from full name and put first name and last name. And that's what it does. It's separated into 2 new columns and it puts it into a new CSV file. And then lastly, this was an experiment. I wanted to see if it could create zip codes from the abbreviations of all the states. So what we have is we have all the states. I wanted a new column called zip code and see if ChatGPT knew how to look up each city-state combination and get the right zip code. I realized that was a big ask because each city has multiple zip codes, but it still did its best and came up with a new version. I realized this is where it probably hit the limits, but it did make a column with zip code for the ones that knew, and then it had a lot of unknown ones. So I'm sure it knows what the zip code is for Denver, Colorado, but there's probably too many zip codes to choose from. So it's not sure which one to use. Finally, we've taken this mess with all these issues and we've gone through, cleaned up the email addresses. We've made formatting changes to the phone numbers. We've taken out the extra characters and all the names with the business names. And we've separated city states. So we've gone from city and state with the state spelled out to city and state. And then we went to city, state, and state abbreviation. And then we formatted country so it's all consistent with USA, then separated first and last name from 1 column to 2. And then I tried to do the zip code lookout. So moral of the story here is that you can take just about any spreadsheet you want and have ChatGPT do all the complicated fixing for you. Massive time saver. It took me less than 13 minutes from start to finish to go through that. And that was just me experimenting. So if you're in a situation where, like most sales leaders or people that work in marketing, you're dealing with contact lists all the time. And one of the biggest struggles is keeping all the elements and all the formatting consistent so you can get it into a CRM and make use of it there. And ChatGPT makes that entire process super easy, super fast. And now you don't have to struggle with all that wasted time and frustration. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you'd like to see more, drop me a note of what you would like to see, and I will come up with more examples to share.